Hi, I'm Dave McGuire. I'm the owner of ecofreak Sustainable Hoodies and T-shirts. I wanted to do a quick little video on a business perspective on how we get into this environmental mess and perhaps talk about some potential solutions. So to put this in perspective, I was a very successful marketer. I had a great career in marketing for over 30 years. But as I get older, I realize the negative impact that marketing has on our environment. You see, the core purpose of marketers and marketing is to get you to buy more stuff, lots of consumer goods. They use their marketing tactics, their persuasive messages to get us to buy more things and consume more things. And the problem is that they are evaluated on volume. The more they can sell, the more successful they are. They need to sell more than the competition. They need to sell more than yesterday, more than last month, more than last quarter, more than last year. They're based on volume. And of course, this whole mass marketing effort to drive consumption is compounded by mass media and social media, which sets these unrealistic expectations of how we should act, how we should look, what we should drive, what we should be consuming, where we should be traveling to. All these influencers out there, they're setting these unrealistic expectations that as well drives this consumption. And to compound this is an exploding global population. The amazing thing about mankind is we're brilliant. We've got all this ingenuity to discover new things. We've made medical advances, scientific innovations to extend our lifespans. And of course, we also have used all of this technology and innovation to basically eliminate any predators that might control our population. So the result is a rapidly expanding global population. This is actually a really alarming statistic. The population of the world has actually more than doubled in 50 years. So all of these factors are contributing to massive levels of consumption. Mass marketing, mass media, now social media, these exploding populations, they're driving these incredible levels of consumption, much of which, yes, we need to survive, but most really is done to satisfy our wants and our desires, not just to survive. The result, unfortunately, is massive levels of garbage and junk that's having a negative impact on our planet. It's filling our landfills, it's leaching into our soil, it's making its way into our oceans. Now, this whole increased demand for goods around the world, driven in large part by mass marketing, but also by mass media, is the fact that, again, because we're so damn smart, we created something called mass manufacturing, the Industrial Revolution. And this has given us the ability to produce massive amounts of goods at a high volume and also at a very low cost. So now suddenly so many of these goods are affordable and available to the masses. The negative byproduct of all this mass manufacturing is pollution. Dirty stuff that's destroying our air quality, contaminating our lands and our waters, depleting our ozone layer, which is contributing to global warming. That warming of our planet is leading to all kinds of catastrophic weather events. Heat waves that are contributing to droughts and forest fires, greater frequency of hurricanes, so many catastrophic weather events, and rising sea levels, due largely to the melting of all that glacier ice. But the ironic thing is, as ocean levels are rising, fresh water supplies are depleting. You look at many parts of the world where lakes and rivers and streams are drying up. But the thing that probably bothers me the most is the fact that so many plant, animal, marine, insect, bird species are becoming extinct before our very eyes. They're disappearing at an alarming rate. I know there are going to be some people out there who will deny that all of these negative consequences are man made. Unfortunately, it is science. For every action, there is a reaction. So the more we mass manufacture, create all these negative byproducts, pollution, and waste, it is, will, and will always have a negative impact on our environment. The difficult thing is this is very difficult to reverse or to change or to slow the pace. For one thing, governments, think about this, they think short term. They don't think beyond the next election cycle. They don't think about the long term health of the planet. They're slowly getting there, but again, they're motivated more by the next election cycle. The other problem is that our societies really now depend on economic growth. There's a dramatic difference between what economists want and what environmentalists want. And our societies depend on this economic growth to create jobs. We know we need lots of jobs to sustain our populations. And of course, growing economies create more wealth, and more jobs and more wealth generates more tax revenue for governments, which is important. They need that to provide important social services. But probably, again, one of the more difficult things that will be to change is the fact that we've grown very accustomed to a high standard of living. Every generation has a higher standard of living, especially in terms of luxuries. And I say this respectfully, knowing that many parts of the world, many populations within countries don't enjoy this same high standard of living. But we have achieved one, and people aren't going to want to compromise what they've achieved. They don't want to give up certain goods or services that they've come to enjoy. Look at the fast food industry. It creates an incredible amount of waste and pollution. But our demand for those kind of products and services is not going to change overnight. We've become a little bit spoiled. So what in the world can we do about this? There are some things, unfortunately, I'll give you a couple of pointers and recommendations, but there's probably not going to be anything new that you're going to hear in here. The key is we now have to start to act and implement some of them. Now, as citizens, I'm going to divide this into two categories: what we can do as citizens, what we can do as consumers. So as citizens, we can volunteer. There's many organizations out there that are doing things about this, trying to protect our environment. It could be anything from beach cleaning to helping educate the next generation about these dangers. We can also do more to lobby our governments to try and change that short-term thinking, to think more long-term. And we can donate. Many of these organizations that I talked about that are acting aggressively and having some positive impact, they don't have the same source of revenue that a typical company has. So we can help donate to fund their activities. We can definitely support companies that make a tangible, noticeable, honest, and sincere effort to reduce carbon emissions during their production. And if we're lucky enough to have some funds that we can invest for our future, really try and make an effort and invest in socially responsible companies. For example, don't invest in fossil fuel companies that has been one of the biggest drivers of a negative impact on our economy. Look for companies that are more committed to sustainable solutions. Now, as consumers, there are lots of things we can do. We live in a free market economy, and I support that 100% for a variety of reasons. If for no other reason, it promotes innovation, it promotes cost efficiencies. Yeah, I know a lot of people don't agree with the distribution of wealth that happens in a free market system, but that's a debate for another day. Suffice to say, we live in a free market economy where we get a chance to vote or influence businesses by our purchase decisions. Companies will listen or monitor or react to our purchase decisions. If they don't, they won't make money. They will go out of business. And many will listen and make that decision not because they genuinely are concerned about the environment. They will just make those changes that will have a better impact on the environment because of their bottom line. That's an important motivation that we need to be aware of. So examples of things we can do as consumers: we can buy products with less packaging. There's so much wasteful packaging out there. Or buy products that use biodegradable packaging. We can avoid products that have harsh chemicals. You look at our shampoos, our soaps, our dish detergent, our clothing detergent. If you can migrate away from those products with harsh chemicals and find products that are more sustainable, again, companies will listen and start to remove those harsh chemicals. We can try and buy more local. Most of you are probably aware that there's key agriculture states and regions that, because of their climate, can produce large, vast amounts of agriculture, which then gets shipped all over the world or all over the continent. And that transportation has a negative impact on our environment. So the more you can buy local to start to reduce the need for that wide distribution and transportation, that can have a positive impact. We can buy products made from recycled materials. Go check out my website. I created this little hobby business because our hoodies and our t-shirts are made from organic cotton. It's a very responsible agricultural commitment technique. And recycled polyester made from plastic bottles. So I'm not here to promote my product yet. I'm here more to encourage you to try and buy more and more products made from recycled materials. You can buy secondhand goods. If you look at the fashion industry, which is one of the worst culprits in terms of consumer goods, because we're always responding to fashions. We want to stay current with fashions. And that means that we stop using so many items long before they're worn out. So either purchase secondhand clothes or make sure you're donating your old clothes. And the last would be try and use more clean, renewable energy. I know that is not as easy as it sounds. We can't all afford an electric car, and the infrastructure isn't there yet anyway to help us fuel those and drive them. But there are little things. If I gave you an example, I've got a nice little off-the-grid cabin project where over the last 5 years, I've made many attempts to make it green or more eco-friendly. I installed solar panels and a solar panel system, one wind turbine. I got rid of my old gas generator, converted to a backup propane generator. I have a propane stove. So there are many little things that as we go through time, we can look for those opportunities to use more clean, renewable energy. Okay, I hope that didn't come across as a sermon, but that's my business perspective on how we got ourselves into this mess. Things we can do to try and get out of it. It's not going to be easy, but we all need to somehow do our part.